So, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on our Burns Night In, or our Burns Night TV dinner. If you're already eating your haggis, enjoy. So my name's Tim Kirkpatrick, and I help to run the Community Association events team, and I'm your host this evening. We're sorry, of course, that we're not here all together in the community centre in this lovely room for our annual Burns supper, but we did want to do something to mark the occasion. So let us start by raising our glasses and wishing Rabbi a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Rabbi Burns, 262 years old today and still going strong. So it might be worth saying that Burns is, of course, well known as the Bard of Scotland, but actually his reputation is international, and there are statues of Burns all over the world. I came across one in Auckland in New Zealand this time last year. Also, apparently there's quite a lot of Burns statues in Russia, where there's a big Burns following. Actually, I understand his reputation might actually even be intergalactic, since an edition of Burns's poems and songs have been sent into space. I'm not quite sure how the Scots language is going to go down in the outer peripheries of the galaxy, but it does seem somehow appropriate that Burns should represent us out there, as he has much to share with us all and with other worlds about the highs and lows of the human condition. It's fair to say in these somewhat more enlightened days of sexual politics that his fathering of 13 children by 5 women, even before his premature death at the age of 37, means his reputation is not unproblematic, and some of our contributors will speak to this or sing to this later. But if anyone has watched the BBC Scotland programme Inside the Mind of Robert Burns that went out last week, and I think you've got the link to that in the letter we sent out to you, you'll have heard their conclusion that, quotes, "In Burns we find everything that we find in ourselves," which I think is probably the mark of a great artist. In that same show, Jackie Kay, who's the current Machar, or Nobel Poet Laureate of Scotland, described Burns's verse as both funny and serious, tender and satirical, lyrical and radical. And I hope that something of this breadth of his talent will be apparent this evening in the contributions from our generous performers. So we're going to have 2 pre-recorded sessions of about 15 minutes each. In the middle, between those 2, we're going to have some live readings of poems. And then at the end, we're going to go into breakout rooms, so we can all raise our glasses to each other. And then at the end of that, we're going to have a communal rendering of Auld Lang Syne, and so yeah, get your song sheets ready for that. You'll be on mute, of course. You're going to have to listen to me singing. Sorry. While you're in the breakout rooms, if you want to go there, of course you don't have to. But we are inviting you to compose a toast to raise in the breakout rooms, whatever toast you care to raise. So maybe, in the next 40 minutes or so, while you're enjoying the show, you can allow the muse to infuse you, or maybe the whiskey to infuse you, to generate a toast. So in a moment, we're going to go to our first section of recorded input. But first of all, I'm going to read to you a poem not by Burns, but about Burns, by James Thompson, called "The Star of Rabbi Burns." There is a star whose beaming ray is shed on every clime. It shines by night, it shines by day, and ne'er grows dim with time. It rose upon the banks of air, it shone on Doon's clear stream. 100 years are gone and more, yet brighter grows its beam. Let kings and courtiers rise and fall, this world has many turns, but brightly beams aboon them all, that star Araby burns. Though he was but a ploughman lad and wore the hodden grey, old Scotland's sweetest bard was bred aneath a roof astray. To sweep the strings of Scotia's lyre, it needs nae classic lore, it's mither with a native fire that warms the bosom's core. On fame's emblazoned page enshrined, his name is foremost now, and many a costly wreath's been twined to grace his honest brow. And Scotland's heart expands with joy whene'er the day returns that gave the world its peasant boy, immortal Rabbie Burns.
Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair thou art, my bonny lass, sae deep in love. Till all the seas gang dry, till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, and I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run, and fare thee will my only love, and fare thee will a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles, though it were 10,000 miles, my love, though it were 10,000 miles, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles.
Welcome to this virtual Burns supper evening. Obviously we can't all be together. It would be great to be in your wonderful community centre in Primrose Hill like last year, enjoying the punch and the dancing and all the contributions. Anyway, we're going to do this virtually, and there are some benefits of this incredible technology. One of them is that the person accompanying me tonight is my good friend Syne, who's actually in Austin, Texas. So good evening, Syne. And we're going to be performing a song called My Heart's in the Highlands. We've taken one of Burns' famous poems and we've created this melody. So, My Heart's in the Highlands. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Farewell to the Highlands, farewell to the north, the
birthplace of valor, the country of worth. Wherever I wander, wherever I rove, the hills of the Highlands, forever I love. All my heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, chasing the deer, and chasing the wild deer, and following the road. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go.
Farewell to the mountains I covered with snow. Farewell to the straths and green valleys below. Farewell to the forests and wild hanging woods. Farewell to the torrents and loud pouring floods.
All my heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, chasing the deer, chasing the wild deer, and following the road. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go. All my heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, chasing the deer, chasing the wild deer, and following the road. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go home. Thank you, and happy Burns Night.
Good evening. Delighted to be joining you for this Burns Night in a virtual way. I thought this evening I'd do a couple of different pieces for you. The first one I have great memories of. I was 8 years old and I won a poetry competition at school. Now, I hasten to add, this wasn't within the whole school itself, but just within my class. And I never won anything again. It was the only prize I ever won at school from the age of 5 till I was 17. I was not a remarkable student. Also, the poem, for me, had certain resonances, I would say, which it still holds today. Here it is. It's called Up in the Morning Early. Call blaws the wind frae east to west. The drift is driving sairly. Sae loud and shrills I hear the blast. I'm sure it's winter fairly. Up in the morning's no for me. Up in the morning early, when all the hills are covered with snow. I'm sure it's winter fairly. The birds sit chittering in the thorn. All day they fare but sparely, and lang's the night frae e'en to morn. I'm sure it's winter fairly. Up in the morning's no for me. Up in the morning early, when all the hills are covered with snow. I'm sure it's winter fairly. There you have it. Not an epic poem by any means, but one very close to my heart. So, as far as I'm concerned, Burns wrote some of the most beautiful love songs ever written. And I know a few people are singing some of his songs tonight, and I'd like to do the same. This particular poem was written in 1791. about a young woman that Burns knew of called Margaret Kennedy. And she was seduced by the son of a wealthy family and then abandoned when she became pregnant. She then sued him for marriage at that time, but tragically died before the case could be heard. However, in retrospect, it was brought against him, and he was ordered to pay £3,000 for the upkeep of his son. So, now I'm going to be singing unaccompanied. So if I start in too high a key, I may pass out. Wish me luck. Here we go. Ye banks and braes o' bonny Doon. Ye banks and braes o' bonny Doon, how can ye bloom sae fresh and fair? How can ye chant, ye little birds, and I sae weary fu' o' care? Thou break my heart, thou warbling bird, that wantons through the flowering thorn. Thou minds me o' departed joys, departed never to return. Aft hae I rove by bonny Doon, to see the rose and woodbine twine, and ilka bird sang o' its love, and fondly say did I o' mine. Wi' lightsome heart I put a rose fu' sweet upon its thorny tree, and my false lover stole my rose, but he left the thorn wi' me. Thank you, ye banks and braes. And to celebrate this evening, I'd just like you to know that I shall be feasting on haggis, neeps, and tatties. And I hope the rest of you will be doing the same. And on that note, I'd like to finish with a grace that Burns wrote before dinner called the Selkirk Grace. And it goes like this. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some hae meat that want it. But we hae meat and we can eat, so let the Lord be thanked. Thank you. Lovely to be here. Good night.
Well, first of all, it's a real pleasure to be recording some Burns songs for Burns Supper, especially the Primrose Hill Burns Night. My theme for my songs this year are women. I mean, as some of you may know, Burns was a huge fan of women, and his reputation somehow precedes him. But for my first song, I've picked Green Grow the Rashes O. And I love this song particularly because how he talks about women. In the last verse, he says, Auld nature swears her lovely dears. So Mother Nature swears they're her lovely work. Her noblest work she classes O. So the thing she's most proud of. First she made men, and she practiced by making men, and then she made the lassies O. So enjoy, and you can sing along at home. Green grow the rashes O, green grow the rashes O, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies O. There's naught but care on every hand, in every eye that passes O. What signifies a life o' man, and warny for the lassies O. Green grow the rashes O, green grow the rashes O, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies O. The worldly race may riches chase, and riches still may fly them o'er. And though at last we catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies, oh. But give me a canny routine, my arms around my dearie, oh, and worldly cares and worldly men may aga tapsel teary, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies, oh. And you say, "Dus, you sneer at this, you're not but senseless asses, oh." The wisest man the world e'er seen, he dearly loved the lassies, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies, oh. Auld nature swears her lovely dears, her noblest work she classes, oh. Her prentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lassies, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lassies, oh.
So, songs there from Tim Bruce, Jeremy Clancy, and Sia over from Texas, and Layla Brown, and then some rather special contributions from our special guest, Denis Lawson. Thank you, Denis. Okay, just to say, this is a fundraiser for the community centre, and I've just put the donations link in the chat, so now might be the time, or save it till later. Okay, so now we're going to go over to Catherine McQueen. So Catherine McQueen has appeared live for us at our most recent Burn Suppers here, and has kindly agreed to come on live and give us a poem, which she will introduce.
Hi everybody, happy Burns night to you all. I was going to do this poem, To a Mouse, with one of our pet gerbils, but my assistant seems to have gone awry, and so we'll have to leave the gerbils be. But To a Mouse. Wee sleekit cowering timorous beastie, oh what a panic's in thy breastie, thou need nae start away sae hasty, wee bickering brattle. I wad be laith to rin and chase thee, wee murdering pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earthborn companion and fellow mortal. I doubt nae whiles but thou may thieve, what then, poor beastie, thou maun live. I daemon icker in thy thrave, sa may requite, I'll get a blessing wi' the lave, and never miss it. Thy wee bit hoosie too in ruin, it's silly wha the winds a strewin, and nothing now to big and nae ane, and foggin green, and bleak December winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. Thou saw the fields laid bare and waste, and weary winter coming fast, and cosy here beneath the blast thou thought to dwell, till crash, the cool coulter past, out the roadside cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee money a weary nibble. Thou nast turned out for thy trouble, but house or hold. to thole the winter's steely dribble and creeneth cold. But mousie thou art no thy lane, improving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang aft a galley, and leest naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still thou art blessed compared with me, the present only toucheth thee, but ouch I backward cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward though I cannot see, I guess and fear. Thank you, everybody. That was To a Mouth. It's a shame that we're not all there together like last year and the years before, but it's great to be able to put this on tonight. And
yeah, am I back on? I'm back on. Okay. So another sip from the glass. This is my burnt supper so far. This is my haggis crisps, and that one just got stuck in the throat a little bit. Anyway, so Catherine, thank you so much. And now another Catherine Kelly. And again, if you've been to any of our burnt suppers, you'll know Catherine very well. I put out a notice on Nextdoor a few years ago, I think now, saying, is there anyone in the village who would like to put on a burnt supper with me? And Catherine responded, and she said yes. And when I met her and started to talk to her, I realised that she's deeply immersed in burns, and so I'm very grateful to Catherine for everything she's done. She's also brought on a lot of Blake for us here, but tonight it's burns. So Catherine is going to give us a poem. Over to you, Catherine Kelly.
Thanks, Tim. The piece I'm going to share with you is not just Burns, the ploughman poet, speaking of Scottish life in Scottish verse. We see him in 1792, very much responding to world affairs and very much in league with the London set of the mighty political radicals and key activists, among them Thomas Paine, who wrote The Rights of Man, Mary Wollstonecraft. She lived just down the road in Somerstown, and she's the author of The Vindication of the Rights of Women. So, this setting, it's 1792, King George III has long lost the colonies, and the new United States of America has just sworn in its first ever elected president, George Washington. In France, though, things are really hotting up. The people have stormed the King's palace, demanding reform and about to set up a republic. Ça ira, it will come, is the Revolutionary War cry there. And their King Louis, who's soon to be on trial, will be found guilty of acting against the rights of the people. Meanwhile, our British government and King George are rightly worried this is all going to kick off here, and they impose brutal gagging, sedition and treason laws, and to arrest and imprison anyone who disagrees with them. Now, Robert Burns is in regular contact and correspondence with Mary Wollstonecraft here in London, and they share the same values and visions for humanity and how society should be. So when Burns meets famous London actress Louisa Fontanelle while she's touring Scotland, there is also a meeting of the minds. And now Louisa has been invited to give an address at a charity benefit in Dumfries to a room full of the most powerful chauvinistic males of the era, the establishment. And Burns offers to write it. So in these volatile times, this is a daring combination. It's brave, it's dangerous. So now we find Louisa Fontanelle at the benefit night, delivering her address from a woman's perspective by Robert Burns at his most subversive best. Louisa Fontanelle. The rights of women. Well, Europe's eye is fixed on mighty things, the fate of empires and the fall of kings. Well, quacks of state much each produces plan, and even children lisp the rights of man. Amidst this mighty fuss, just let me mention The rights of women merit some attention. First, in the sexes' intermixed connection, one sacred right of women is protection. The tender flower that lifts its head elate, helpless must fall before the blasts of fate, sunk on the earth, defaced its lovely form, unless your shelter ward the impending storm. Our second right, but needless here is caution, to keep that right inviolates the fashion. Each man of sense has it so full before him, he'd die before he'd wrong it. 'Tis decorum. There was indeed, in far less polished days, a time when rough, rude men had naughty ways, would swagger, swear, get drunk, kick up a riot, nay, even invade a lady's quiet. Now, thank our stars, those Gothic times are fled. Now well-bred men, and you are all well-bred, must justly think, and we are much the gainers, such conduct neither spirit, wit, nor manners. For right, the third, our last, our best, our dearest, the right to fluttering hearts the nearest, which even rights of kings, low prostration, most humbly own, 'tis dear, dear admiration. In that blessed sphere alone we live and move. There, taste that life, of life immortal love. Smiles, glances, sighs, tears, fits, flirtations, airs. 'Gainst such a host, what flinty savage dares, when awful beauty joins with all her charms? Who is so rash to rise in rebels' arms? But truce we kings, and truce with constitutions, with bloody armaments and revolutions. Let majesty your first attention summon. Ah, sa ira, the rights of woman. And it was 120 years later that women actually got the vote, if you were over 30. So it took a while, but thank you to Robert Burns for reminding some of our menfolk the power and the qualities of women in building society.
So thank you, Catherine. Well, thank you both, Catherines. Thank you, Robert Burns. Okay, so now we're going to go to our second pre-recorded section. So we've got another offering from Denis Lawson, some more songs from Layla Brown, and we're going to take a trip up Glastonbury Tor with Arthur Scammell, who's a fiddler. He's going to be playing two reels, the Walls of Liscarrol and Sailor's Bonnett. See you later.
Hello again. In the spring of 2020, the late spring, I came across a poem written by a guy called Willie Sinclair. Willie works on an estate in Dumfriesshire and is a great Burns aficionado. I was so taken with this poem that I decided to make a small performance piece out of it. And I'd like to introduce you to it now. It's very appropriate to our times. It's called Tay a Virus. Hope you enjoy it. Tay a Virus. 12 months ago we didn't ken your name, nor aught about you. But lots of things have changed since then. I really must salute you. Your spreading power is quite intense. You're feeding like a gannet. Disruption caused is so immense, you've shaken our wee planet. Corona used to be a beer. You garnished it with limes, but now it fills us all with fear. These days are scary times. Nae shaking horns nor pecking lips is what we're all advised, but scrub them weel richt to the tips, and then we'll all survive. But stay within the hoose ye bide, nae sneaking out for strolls, and check the lavvy every hour, and stock take your loo rolls. Our holidays have been put off. Now that's the Jet 2 patter. Put on your thermals, have a laugh, and paddle down the water. Canary Isles, no for a while, no need for suntan cream, and all because of this wee bug we ken to be 19. Now, boredom surely will set in, but have a read, or doodle, or plan your menu for the month with 95 pot noodles. When these run out, just look about. A change it would be nice, with beans and pasta by the ton and 20 stain of rice. But dinna think you'll wipe us out. Aye, true, a few have died. Bubonic, bird flu, and TB, they came, they left, they tried. You might be gallus nu, my friend, as you skip from cup to cup, but once we get our vaccine, your number will be up. You bastard! Ha! Deal with that. Ha! Thank you, thank you. No applause, please, just throw money. Thank you. And that would be the end. Thank you very much. Thank you. And tatty bye. The new.
So for my next song, this probably has to be one of my favourite Burns songs of all time. And like I said, my theme was women. And like I said, he had a reputation that preceded him in terms of relationships and chasing women. And this is a love song, but it's actually a love song for his best friend, for someone he had a purely platonic relationship with. And they used to meet in Edinburgh on the occasion, and he used to write her letters, and he wrote this song for her as she left Scotland to move to Jamaica. A fond kiss, and then we sever. A farewell, alas, forever. Deep in heart run tears, I'll pledge thee. War and sighs and groans, I'll wage thee. Who shall say that fortune grieves him, while the star of hope she leads him, mean a cheerful twinkle lights me, dark despair around benights me. I'll ne'er blame my partial fancy, nothing could resist my Nancy, for to see her was to love her, love but her, and love forever. Had we never loved so kindly, had we never loved so blindly, never met nor never parted, we would never been so broken hearted. Fare thee well, my first and fairest. Fare thee well, my best and dearest. Thine be ilke joy and pleasure, peace, enjoyment, love, and pleasure. A fond kiss, and then we sever. A farewell, alas, forever. Deep in heart run tears, I'll pledge thee. War and sighs and groans, I'll wage thee. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot for old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. And surely you'll be your pint sir, and surely you'll be mine, and we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. We twa hae run aboot the braes and put the gowans fine, but we've wandered on ya weary fit for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. We twa had battled in the burn frae morning sun till dine, but the seas between us great had roared for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. And there's a hand, my trusty freer, and gives a hand o' thine. We'll take a right good willie walk for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne.
Ah, Layla, what a voice. What a voice. Well, and thank you to Denis as well for his virus and his socks, and to all our other performers. Thank you so much. I hadn't imagined we would be travelling up Glastonbury Tour on our Burns evening, but that was very special as well. In a moment, we're going to go into some breakout rooms. Now, I know that's not to everyone's choice, so please feel free to part at this point. I will just say some notes of thanks before you go. Thanks very much to Denis Lawson, our special guest this evening. I hope we can have you here in the hall at some point as well. You might want to wear some trousers. And yeah, thanks to all our other contributors from near and far. Very generous of you, as always, to share your talents with us. Thanks to Alice Gray for the hot toddy recipe. She's our local mixologist. thanks again. Thanks as always to Catherine Kelly for what's the word? Corralling the talent. Thank you. And yeah, thanks to Peter Savage for the streaming. Here he is. Here's Peter. Thank you, Peter. So yes, just again, donations to the Community Association, gratefully received. The link is in the chat. It's also on the email, and you can find it on the front page of the website. So you'll find it there. As Dennis said, just throw the money. And of course, yeah, we look forward to Burns 2022. Yeah, we will be able to meet here in person. If you want a bit more Scottish music, there is a playlist, Spotify playlist on the Burns Night In resources page on the website, plus lots of other Burns links. So if you want to come to the breakout room, stay with us. Otherwise, tatty bye and see you next year.